Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show, Beautifully Bruised and the CPS Show. I'm so glad you tuned in today because I definitely have a story for you that I think is something that would be worth your while in listening to and hopefully able to help you to be prepared dealing with CPS. Without further ado, I do have the guest that's here today by the name of Lynetta Bradley.
Hi.
Hi. And I'm so glad she was able to be on the show. I have met her before and she is truly a sweetheart. And I just know, I love her energy and you could tell she's crazy about her kids. And like when I brought to her about the story dealing with CPS, unfortunately, she have had more than one encounter with CPS and she was so willing to come on the show to try to help others not become a victim to CPS and know what to look out for if they ever try to come into your life. So with that being said, Lynetta, go ahead and please tell us something about yourself.
Well, I am 22 and I am a mom of two, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And yeah, I'm in school and that's about it. I'm going to get my GED. So
You say you're going to school to get your
GED.
Oh, good. It's nothing like education, so you can't go wrong with that. So that's definitely a plus.
Yes.
Absolutely. So yes, okay. With that being said, we do have Lynetta, who is a mom of two children, and like I said, she has unfortunately, like myself, been a victim of CPS. And before I go any further into the show, you know me, I don't want to start this show out with giving thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without Him, I'm absolutely nothing. So I have to definitely give credit where credit is due, and I'm very grateful for God being able to give me the strength to endure CPS, because all the hoops and oh my goodness, all the different things, the services, the classes, the drug tests, the random visits with your children in at your house, at your job. It's so much they take you through. So it really takes a lot out of a person to deal with someone like CPS. So I got to give credit where credit is due. So I definitely want to start off by saying that. But yes, let's get right into the show. Lynetta, since you have been affected by CPS, can you please share with us the experience that you went through with CPS?
Well, it was quite a journey. It was crazy.
Oh, yes.
They took my children due to my daughter passing, and
Sorry to hear that.
I don't know what they were thinking, but they were thinking something weird. They came. At first they said they were coming out to inspect the house,
Mm-hmm.
but they showed up with car seats and all these other things and took my son from me and also my mom's children.
Okay, wait a minute. This is something, again, I definitely want the listening audience to know, including myself. I have never ever heard, and I've heard many stories dealing with CPS, but I've never seen them double team or tag team two different families at the same time and remove your children. So you're telling me not only did they, would you say they came as if they were doing, sound like, was it pretty much like a wellness check or something they
Yes,
just was,
yes. A wellness check. They claim it was a wellness check, but
hmm,
it was like three of them showed up and they were just talking. We were in the living room and they said that they were just doing a wellness check, and they ended up taking my son and my mom's two children. So it was crazy from there. And we had to go through the courts, do supervised visits,
right.
um,
Wow.
a bunch of parenting classes, a bunch of different things that they wanted us to do.
Oh, wow. So you're telling me, even though they came to me like they were coming to pretend to check on the house, just to be like a pretty much like a friendly visit, just to make sure everything is all right.
Right.
They told you that to get you to let them in, but once they got there, they actually ended up removing your child as well as your mother kids.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And with that being, oh, go ahead. You have something to say, please.
You can
Okay.
continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. I'm just listening and trying to process that it's enough one CPS caseworker is there trying to disrupt your household, divide you and your children. But you mean to tell me they came and disrupted your household and divided two families at one time?
Yes. My mom was devastated. She didn't know what to do. So, as me being my age at that time, they had to go through my mom.
And how
So,
old were you at that time?
I just turned 15.
Okay, okay.
Um, I was still considered a minor to them.
Of
So,
course, right.
they had to go through my mom, and my mom had to go through all these different stages of cutting her hair off and everything. Go to drug classes, and my mom don't do drugs at all. So
I'm
it's,
sorry. Maybe it's just me, but did you say she had to cut her hair off?
yes, she had to cut her hair off due to them wanting do a follicle test, drug test, which
Wow.
goes back, I think, 7 years, I think. So yeah,
What?
that was,
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. What was the reason for your mom? You say she never had done drugs. Never, what was the reason for the removing the kids
I'm
from your mom?
guessing it was because I was staying with her at that time, but
Mm,
she didn't have anything to do with the case. But I'm guessing since I stayed with her, they involved her into the issue. That's,
wow. Wow.
and yeah, my second one was very crazy.
The
I had,
first one was crazy. I can only imagine what the second's gonna be like. I'm just saying.
yeah, I had to go through all my parenting classes again. I had to have supervised visits with my son. They had kept him for like a year, almost 2 years.
Oh
So
my God.
it was a long process. I had to go to court a lot of different times. It was crazy. I don't know. It was really crazy.
Wow. Okay, and with you saying that, did you have a court-appointed attorney? Did you have any attorney at all, or?
I had appointed attorney. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. Was he effective? Do you think he helped you any, or?
No, not really, because basically it's court appointed lawyers, so they basically working for the courts.
There
So
you go. Yes, that
I
part.
wish I would have had hired an attorney for myself, so I wouldn't have to go
Right,
through all the different experiences that I had to go through.
exactly. That's so true. And I want to say, with that being said, I urge anyone to get an attorney. If you can't, like I say, we on the attorney Vince platform today. And he is an experienced attorney that knows CPS laws, as well as he seems to be very effective. And I say, if you could get attorney Vince to help you in these cases, I would strongly recommend you hire someone of that statute. I also had witnessed a court attorney, a court appointed attorney, and I'm telling you, it was almost like you said, it's almost like I felt like I didn't have any representation,
Yes,
and it was the worst experience ever. And it seemed like with me, since I didn't have credible experience, like a credible attorney, like Attorney Vince or someone on that level that knows CPS laws, I got even further down that tunnel, that black hole, I call it, with CPS. So
yes,
to me, they bank on you not having a credible attorney that knows CPS laws, that's aggressive, and that knows how to fight for you and your children. They really, to me, seem like they prey on people that are uneducated. They, maybe lack resources, single parents, or anything in those, categories that they really use. They really just really, from being in court and watching those different cases, those are the majority of the people that I was seeing in those courtrooms.
yes,
So they will definitely use that to their advantage from what I experienced. So with that being said, okay, so that's a great point that you made. You wish you would have had an experienced attorney, because it seems like when you do have an experienced attorney, sometimes your case can end within days.
yes,
The first hearing, sometimes, you don't have to go through those constant hearings that you have every few months. And like you said, did you say your case literally went to 3 years, 2 or 3 years it
yes.
lasted?
It was a while. My
Wow.
first case was 2 years. My second one was almost 3 years. I
Oh
didn't get
my
my son
God.
back till he was about like 4 or 5. So
And how old was he when the case originally started?
he was a baby.
Oh my God.
So when they closed it, he was with my auntie. And then when I got him back, they opened up another case.
For
And
what? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm not sure. Someone called on me saying it was neglect or something like that. But when they came in and all this extra stuff, luckily they didn't do what they did last time and take him and all this extra thing.
Right, right,
They actually did what they were supposed to do, the wellness checkup, and
right.
everything was great at the home. So that case didn't go as bad as my other two cases. So
You know what, Lynetta, you're bringing up some great points because that was something that I experienced as well. It just really depends on who you have as a caseworker.
yes, yes, most definitely. I Some caseworkers are out for your children for sure.
Right.
Some of them they are willing to help you, willing to help you get your children back. You have to learn who to trust and who not to trust. Most
There you
definitely.
go. That's it right there. And I think it's almost best to not even, I won't even say over talk, but I would say as little as possible. Really, I would say nothing. From
Right.
my experience, like I said, I'm no legal counsel, I'm no attorney. That's Attorney Vince. He is a legal attorney as far as dealing with CPS and know how to win these cases for you and your children. But I would say, just from my own personal experience by being a mother, that it seems like whatever information you use, they'll use it to turn it back against you.
Yeah, they sure will. Most definitely will. So you have to watch what you say, watch what you do, watch everything that
Yes,
around them. Yeah, most definitely.
absolutely. And it can be some of the most simplest conversations that you can have. You just really probably thinking, okay, you're probably nervous, you've never been through something like this and not knowing what to expect. And you just being friendly, just trying to conversate,
Yeah.
but not knowing all along that
Everything's gonna be turned right against you. Most definitely.
that's exactly correct. So I wouldn't even talk to them. I would just honestly seek legal counsel and let your attorney tell you what you need to do.
It is important to get you an attorney for sure.
Absolutely. That is, I would say it's mandatory.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that. So that is definitely some great information you shared. So you said, okay, you had two different cases. The first caseworker, it seemed like she handled things completely different. Maybe not in the way she should have as a caseworker. And I know what that's like because I've experienced that as well. I was told that a lot of caseworkers, or well, I guess it just depends on the state that you're in, and we are located in Texas. But some locations they do provide services. I heard they can assist, and I don't know if this is still current or not because I haven't had a case in years, thank God, and I'm not having any more. And that's the reason why I'm trying to bring people on so they don't have to never experience this as well. They can learn from my or our mistakes. Yes. So with that being said, but I just know I had she was a caseworker that I had on the show previously, and she had eventually, retired with being the intaker. She's a supervisor intaker. Like when you go on your visits with your kids, she would be the one to document what happens on the visits and things of that sort. And she shared with me, that your caseworker, they do provide services because they're taking you through so much when you're dealing with an open active CPS case. They have you taking all these drug tests, random tests. They have you going to all these services and all these classes that you shared that they had you to take as well. You have to do psychological evaluations that may be on the other side of town. So they have you, then you go into all these different court hearings, So it's a whirlwind of so many different things that you have to do, and you might not be able to work or work as much as you once were before CPS entered into your life. And you might not be able to afford to pay, things like daycare bills, which can be very expensive. So thankfully, by the grace of God, she had a great heart, and she said, they will help you pay for daycare services. They will even help you pay for your rent. Pay bills of that such. So were you aware, or was your caseworker, did she ever bring that to your attention that they can help you with some of those services?
So actually, on my second case, the lady helped me with my son. She was such a good person.
Good. Good.
She did everything in her power. Even after my case closed, she was still coming up to see me.
Wow.
bringing stuff. She was super nice. That was a good experience for me, and she did give me a lot of, I don't know how
Like
to
she
say
was
it.
supportive.
Yeah, a lot of support. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and that's good. When you have a caseworker that's acting like that, I mean, to me, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
If they come into your life, letting you know that you're not doing something correctly, lead by example, provide resources to help you do it correctly, if that's what the case may be, if that's true. So, but yes, that's a great example. You can have good caseworkers, and there are bad caseworkers. So, just to be on the safe side, like you said, don't talk too much, limit your conversation, and first and foremost, seek an attorney that will lead you and direct you on how
Yes.
you need to correspond with the
For sure.
caseworker.
If you don't have an attorney, you will be going through that for a while.
Yes,
Years. So,
absolutely. It's like you just mentioned, it'll be drawn out to me as further as they possibly can take it,
yes.
sadly. So, yes. Now, with that being said, so you did say that your kids with both cases, and I also would like to mention as well that don't think just because you had one case that you won't be able to have another one.
Right.
And Lynetta, you are a great example of that because, like you say, the first case, they took you through so many different challenges and obstacles. And the second time, I mean, I'm sure once that case was closed out, it was under your assumption that it was over. But to be told, you said they had came back and reopened the second case.
Yes. Most definitely. So you have to just watch what you're doing and watch everything around you. You may never know who's around you. You may never know what they're doing.
Right.
So you have to really be careful because people are really out here to put you down.
That's sad. That's true.
You have to maintain yourself, keep yourself going, though, for sure.
Absolutely. That is so true because, like we've also shared before, you might not be doing anything wrong. You might just have somebody at the time that has something against you, that has malice or spite or anger at you, and they'll create a CPS case, just
Yeah,
to
out of
do it
anger.
out of anger. Exactly.
So you most definitely have to be careful. But I
Yes.
will say, after my first case, I did experience a lot in dealing with CPS. So
You say you did?
yeah, I experienced a lot. Like a lot of things that I know that I shouldn't do, or things that
Right.
I did that I shouldn't have did, or things like that.
Right.
So it just teach you on how to really on how they work, basically.
Yes. Yes. I was telling somebody the other day, once you have come into the presence of CPS, it's almost like they give you a whole new set of eyes.
Yes, definitely do. So yeah, you just have to love your children and protect your children from
Oh my God, so true.
anyone that's out to get them or you. So yeah.
That is so true because since you said that, I remember specifically when my attorney shared with me, she said, what, this is not about you or your kids. This is not. And at the time, I'm like, what does she mean? Like, what else could it be about? We're the ones that's going through all this stuff.
Right.
Right. You just thinking it is about you, but you'll be surprised that politics is involved. Power is involved. Money is involved, sadly. I had someone recently that shared with me that she was actually thinking about becoming a foster mom. And she said before the person that came in to interview her and to look at her home, before she can even settle down good to start, the paperwork of looking into becoming a foster parent, she asked her if she wanted to adopt a child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you haven't even met the child yet. You don't know anything about this child. And that was one of the first questions she said that they asked her was, do you want to adopt a child who she haven't even met yet?
Yeah. It's money involved in that.
Yes, it is. And like you said, that's why it's so important to love your children, to be careful with your children when you're taking your children to your doctor's appointments, making sure that, everything is up to par, because a lot of times these children, from what I've been hearing, is that that's where the CPS investigation cases get started. They're created at in hospitals,
Yeah.
the doctor's offices, at the schools, at the daycares, like you just shared. And I've also witnessed, if you have an ex or someone
Yeah,
family.
I'm just gonna say through family members, through everybody, you have to just be careful. You just have to be really careful.
Absolutely. You have to be really careful. You can't put too much trust in anybody, to be honest,
No.
because you just never know, what someone's true intentions might be. So, yes, that is a great point that you mentioned. Now, I also want to ask you, did your children share or show anything that they experience? And a reason why I want to say that is because, like I said, the foster parent, the lady who I know personally, and she said she was just surprised that right out the gate they just asked her, "Do you want to adopt a child?" Before she even met the child. So, with that being said, I think it's a very interesting point that you mentioned that I don't know if it was the first CPS case or the second CPS case, but you shared that when your child was placed with a foster family, for some reason, even though the child was a boy, but it seemed like they dressed him as. Can you explain more about
That was my first case,
that?
which is no, I'm sorry, my second case is when they came and took my mom's kids and my son. They were placed with these people, and my son, he was like 3, and my brother, he was like 7, so he was, conscious of things that was happening. So
Right.
he was telling me that they was dressing him up as a girl, even though he was a boy. So that was one of my problems with who he was placed with, but
Wow.
I didn't know how to handle that or how to
Right.
speak on it because I didn't want them to come against me on some other problems, just to
Correct.
make up
Right.
anything. So
Right, that's true, because you don't want them to, just because and it's sad to be that way, but they take you through so much. Gosh, like it's draining. You don't know what to expect. It can be scary, even if you don't have legal representation and you're doing it on your own. Even if you have legal representation, sometimes you feel uncertain about everything that they're doing to you, so you don't really want to speak out.
yeah. So you don't know how far they're willing to go. So you have to just keep it at
Tread
a
lightly.
level. Yeah, definitely.
You do. You have to tread lightly because you don't want anything to be, like you say, almost blackmailed or used as intimidation,
Yeah,
against you regarding your case. And like we just mentioned, and I'm sure many have experienced, that all caseworkers, unfortunately, are not working out of integrity. And with that being said, you don't want to take a chance on your children getting further down in the system just because you're speaking out. I mean, it's not, and let me just rephrase that, because I honestly think and believe if there's something that you do know that it is something that's taking place that's not being done correctly. I must share that I did have a caseworker that has been on. She's actually worked in different departments with CPS, and she shared that it's normally good to go to a supervisor. Even if you don't feel safe or comfortable speaking with your caseworker, you can normally speak to their supervisor. But again, I do understand that it's still
right.
like, yes, like, because nine
Because
times out.
she's her supervisor, so you have to be, they work on the same, so you just have to be careful with everything, literally everything you do.
Lanetta, that's so true, because I do. It's what you just said. She even shared that, yes, take it to the supervisor, but at the end of the day, she also mentioned that a lot of times, as a caseworker, she might not even agree with the decision that's being said or made on the case. But guess what? She had to follow the authority of the supervisor.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that tells you, if they won't even listen to what you say, and you're the caseworker that's working the case, then what makes you think that if something is said that's not in that doesn't please that person authority, that they won't try to retaliate
Right.
against you? Because I've heard stories like that as well. So I understand, how that can be as well. So, wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
if you ever really go through CPS and after you get your kids back, you have to really um, comfort your kids on and mold them, and to have them trust you and tell them if anything ever did happen, or if they didn't feel comfortable around that person or anything like that. So you have to really try to get it out of them, even if they don't want to tell you. You have to try to, because my ex, his daughter was in CPS in New York. She was in an encounter with one of the guys that had her, and now she has mental problems. She's
Oh my
in
God.
Yeah, she takes medicine and stuff for that now, due to being traumatized from that incident.
Wow. So you, just to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, that um, you say you know someone whose children was in the CPS foster care system, and the parents that was raising the children, would you say were they being molested or?
Yes, yes, she was being molested. Her little sister. They separated them after they tried to tell on them, so they put them both in separate homes,
Mm,
and it was a lot. And that's in New York, so you have to.
wow.
Yeah, that was a lot to deal with. Now she's 17 now. She's still dealing with that issue. So
And that's another thing that's so sad to me, is that you hear stories, to me often too common, where personally, children that has been in the foster care system. I know someone personally as well, and they are a full grown man, nearly in their 50s. And when I tell you, they are still, from what has happened to them since they was in the foster system, the majority of their entire childhood. Um,
right,
to this day, at nearly 50, that they're still traumatized and living out, sadly, how they was treated and molested in the system. And it seemed like they are doing the same thing now.
yes, and it's
So,
something that we can't do. Is I guess it's really like nothing that we can do about it, because it's in they're in their custody, so we wouldn't know how to. I mean, they know things are going on in
right.
this type of. A lot of cases have been going on
Oh,
with,
yeah.
you know. So I'm not sure on how they're going to handle it, or is it going? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's
Right.
going to continue on how the system has it. So
Well, that again is the reason why I wanted to come on and share my story and bring on people like yourself, Lynetta, and many other people, because I do believe that I do believe transparency transforms. I truly do. I think if enough people come together and really stand up against CPS and doing things that does not have integrity, that if you know somebody that is doing things and not saying anything, to me, you're just as much to blame.
yes,
Especially if you witness children that are being mistreated or molested or anything of that terrible situation, that is your job to speak up to help these children. And I'm praying that hopefully, if enough voices are being shared and there's enough stories are being told of these awful stories, horrible stories, that maybe hopefully one day some laws will be implemented to change some of these laws where CPS will no longer be able to do, or not just CPS as well as the foster families, they'll be held accountable for their wrong actions. So they'll think twice or go, or be incarcerated, or whatever it takes to stop this madness from continuing, these children being molested, being raped, and all these other horrible stories that I'm hearing that these foster parents and CPS has been getting away with for far too long.
most
So,
definitely.
yeah, so I just think
That's a lifetime traumatizing experience for people. Most definitely.
absolutely, like I said, the person I personally know, that's nearly 50 years old, still are living through, it's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
How they were molested during the system of being in the foster care back in high school, back long time ago, 18, 19, 20,
Yeah.
nearly in their 50s. They, like you said, it's a life going up. It doesn't just go away.
No.
I mean, it's actually, to me, to a certain extent, it's ruining life.
Yep, it is, most definitely. They
You
can't
know,
have a normal life after experiencing those type of situations.
and that is so true. You know, you'll be surprised how that will fall down into them being a parent to their kids, you know, in their relationships. You know, it's a domino effect. You know, it is 360. Like it doesn't, you know, like I'm glad you mentioned it. It affects literally their life,
Yes, most definitely.
their children's lives. So, oh
It
my
affects
God,
everything around them. Affects, and that's it's not good. It makes me upset that they really have to, you know, go through that, at especially while they're young.
right,
They don't know no better,
right.
So for that person to do anything like that, they that is cruel.
It's very cruel. Very, it's a horror story. It's a disaster. It's traumatizing, like you said. And I think another thing what's so terrible about it, the stories I'm hearing, a lot of these bad foster parents. I'm not saying all foster parents are bad. There are some good foster parents, but they are also, let's be honest, some bad ones as well. And
Mm.
I just do not see how they're being held accountable for ruining these lives. That's why I'm saying something has to be done. They have to be held accountable for these children didn't ask to be in their lives. These
Yes,
children didn't ask to be adopted. You know, they had no choice but to only
some
be
were
in their
wrongly taken out of their home, so
yes.
you have to be careful on how you treat people because it affects people. Most
Be
definitely.
careful on how you treat people. On my last segment, Mother's Day weekend, this past Friday, that's something my 105-year-old grandmother, who say, like you just mentioned, Lynetta, be careful how you treat people. Because it's not gonna only like it's another saying I like to share too. A person might forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Most definitely. Yeah.
And that is so I have found that to be true.
Yeah.
So and I know we're getting ready to wrap up the segment, but you are sharing so much to me important information that I do believe whoever's listening in, you know, whether you are personally going through CPS, a CPS case right now, if you know someone, this is definitely a story I think you want to, you know, share with others so they can be aware. Lynetta says she have dealt with two different cases at two different times, and by the grace and mercy of God, her children were all returned back safely home to her, and she's just sharing some of the experiences that she had to go through. So hopefully, we can learn and not have to be, you know, go through what she went through at the time, and to, you know, just to keep you and your children from having to go into CPS system. And with that said, Lynetta, I just have to go back on the part where you say your son that had to go live with his was forced to go live with his foster family, and even though the foster family knew he was a little boy, but they was dressing him as a little girl.
Yes, there was even paint. They took it so far to even paint his nails pink. So it was crazy. It was crazy. It was really crazy. And I even have like a collage of pictures that they had when they were little, and it I have the pictures and stuff. But
Oh my God,
yeah, it was crazy. It
this
was
is
really
the first I've heard something like this.
yeah.
This is the first. So, with you saying that once your child was returned home, how old was your child at the time when they were doing this, dressing the child as a little girl when he was a little boy?
He was 2 turning 3,
Wow,
and my brother was 6 turning 7. So
wow. And at that age, children are so impressionable.
yeah, and my little brother, he encountered a lot of stuff through CPS. He really went through a lot. I don't like that for him, but
Right, right.
he's 12 now, so
Mhm.
he's good.
Praise
He's
God.
yeah.
Praise God. So I'm glad. Okay, so with what you just mentioned, other than what you said, they dressing children up in different clothing and doing something as if they're a different sex. Which he was a little boy. The foster parents was painting a little boy's nails and dressing him up in little girl's clothing. Okay. Are you allowed, when you are heard that this is happening, are you allowed to say anything, or is it kind of like what you said? You're kind of
Well,
scared to
I
say
was
something?
scared because he was still in their custody at that time. So
Oh,
when they did, I didn't hear about it until they did finally come back home into our custody.
wow.
So they, like we said, we have to have supervised visits and stuff. So we really couldn't talk like how we wanted to talk, do things
Wow.
how we wanted to do things. So he couldn't tell us until we got home, and they gave us all these different pictures and stuff, and I see some pictures, and it's crazy. It's really
That
crazy.
is that is bananas. That is beyond crazy.
And
And
even if I was to go back and say something, I don't think there is something that they can do, because
right.
they could just say, "Oh, he wanted to put it on. He
Say
wanted
anything,
right." So
right, to go along with the narrative.
right. So
Since you said that, and knowing some other things that has transpired that they seem like have done wrongfully, even with you and your mom, like you say, your mom had never done drugs in her entire life. They pretended as if they was coming to get a well care checkup on you, but ended up taking not only your kids, they removed your mom kids. Two different families at the same time. They had to take all the children, and
yeah.
obviously it had to be planned out because did you say they already had car seat in their vehicles?
Yes, they pulled up with car seats in a car and everything. At when I went outside to meet them, I saw the car seats and stuff. But I was like, "Are y'all sure y'all not about to take my kids?" You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make sure, and they're just
Exactly.
saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So we get in the house, and two other people come behind her, and they're like, "Well, we
Who
got
were
the
the other people? Was
I
it
guess
more?
the other people that comes to expect also, I guess." But it was
So,
crazy.
oh my God, that is definitely traumatizing. You know,
Yes.
you're thinking,
And that caseworker now, which she do not work for them anymore due to her being how she was in the system,
thank God,
falsely accusing things and all this other stuff. So
thank
that's
God.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
That is very good. So no other family have to experience the wrong that she did to you and your children, because that was obviously intentional.
Yes, most definitely.
Right. That, I mean, how else could it be? If you already coming with the car seat, that means you're planning to take the kids to give them a
Right.
ride. And so that speaks for itself. Oh my God.
That shows you how crooked and conniving and evil that they can be. So you have to watch. Even if they tell you something,
Don't believe it.
no.
Don't believe it. I honestly, I'm not telling nothing that I wouldn't do for myself. Again, I would make no communication whatsoever. Only communication I will be making first and foremost is a legal attorney like
Yeah.
Attorney Vince, or somewhere, where you can get you someone, and not just any attorney, but an attorney that knows CPS laws, that is aggressive, and that's going to fight for you and your children.
Yes.
And
That
they're
is
going
highly recommended, most definitely.
correct. Let them lead you on what to do, because you, like you said, you honestly just saying, "Hey, you're telling me one thing. You're coming out here. You're coming out to my house to do a well care checkup," and you say she said that's all she was doing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She ended up taking the kids. I mean, it was a hassle. I was like, y'all told me I wasn't gonna take them out of it was so crazy that day. But I had to watch my babies go in the car, which
Wow.
was super sad.
Wow. And little bitty babies too, because you said the time. How
Yeah.
how old were they?
My son, he was just 5, 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was a baby. He was a real small baby. And I didn't get him back. Like I said, they would linger the case on for a while. So that's why it's important to have that attorney. They will linger it on for 2, 3 years. You
They
don't know how
will.
long it takes.
They will.
You gotta keep fighting. You gotta keep going. Even if you miss one little court date, you better go to that court date. You can't miss anything.
Lynetta, I'm glad you shared that, because I think that's another thing too, that so many parents and caregivers and grandparents, it's so easy to become discouraged and traumatized from all the evilness, the wrongfulness that they're doing, that sometimes a lot of people just unfortunately give up.
Yeah.
They just feel like they can't take it anymore with all the things that CPS is taking them through. I've even read stories which also broke my heart where some parents have actually committed suicide.
Mm. Yeah.
And it was due to CPS because they just no longer could take on the agony, the
Yeah.
misery, the torture, even to me. What more you have to offer than your children who you cared for, given birth for. This is your
Right.
legacy. So it's the heart and soul that's connected to you. So sadly, when I read some of these stories, it just continues to break my heart to hear about it. So I'm so glad that and I will say for myself, for those parents that just couldn't take it anymore, because everybody's capacity is different. I know that's one of the things that the CPS affiliates told me at one of my hearings, that you overcame. And I have enough intellect to realize if someone tell me you overcame, that's something they was trying to do to keep me from overcoming.
Right.
But I was just like you. I refused to give up. I refused to give in. I went to every hearing. I went to every case. I went to everything that they told me to do it and then some. Because to me, they also use it as a way to try to break you down to wear you out. Because it's an old saying that the devil can't take you out, but he'll try to wear you out.
Mm-hmm. Most
You
definitely.
know, it's
Yeah.
sad. It's
I,
sad, but it's true. So much stress, so much pressure, any kind of heaviness, eventually after so much time, it'll begin to take a toll on you. And a lot of times people become discouraged because they might can't afford, a credible attorney, and a lot of them pro bono or court ordered attorneys, sadly, are sometimes in cahoots with some of these CPS caseworkers. So it's actually seems like it can do more harm than good. So I would just say, fight for your child no matter what it takes.
just
I
keep
know.
going. Keep praying. Keep going. Keep your faith. Everything's gonna be most definitely all right. You're gonna get it.
Absolutely. Keep going, like Anetta just mentioned. Keep going, keep the faith and everything. And I do believe that sometimes God takes us through tests. Like you even shared at the beginning of the show, you said that even with the CPS ordeal in its own kind of crazy way, you do have a new set of eyes. I know I do. It makes you be more, I would say, self-aware,
Mm-hmm.
of what this system really means. Because a lot of people hear CPS and the government, oh, well, they're here to help and provide resources for me and my family.
No.
We are living testimonies on this show today that is not always the case. That is not always true, sadly, but it's not. So it makes you be more self-aware of what you're dealing with, even being a better parent to your children. Making sure. Absolutely, just making sure everything is in place with them as well. So I'm so glad you said that. And as I'm getting ready to wrap up the show, I must ask you that from all that you've been through, have you ever thought about, because a lot of cases, parents have taken their cases on legal when they know when they were dealing with their CPS cases that they was wrongfully done. They were wrongfully treated. They rights were not protected or upheld or were broken, however you want to word it. And they actually won. I don't know if it's considered a civil lawsuit. You have to be attorney bench to share that information, but they were able to get, that's what the word I'm looking for. They were able to be, I would just say it like this, from all the hell that they went through, say it again.
They're able to be recognized.
They're able to be recognized, and with the right people taking the CPS to court, they won their lawsuits against CPS for wrongfully, they broke laws that they shouldn't have broken with, doing things to their children they should have not been doing things to the parents. So have you ever thought about pursuing CPS as far as suing them for the wrong that they've done to you and your children?
Well, no, and I just thank God for even putting me through that experience because it really made me grow. And my children is good. My brother is good. They don't have no effect. It don't have any effect on them.
Thank God.
So I just thank God that all that is over with, and I don't have to do any of that anymore. And hopefully they get what they deserve, most definitely. But
Right.
I won't take it that far
And that's
unless it was something mentally wrong with my kids or my brother. Then I
right.
would most definitely will. But
And that's a very wise decision, Lynetta, because like you said, by the grace and mercy of God, none of your children have had any type of psychological effect, sound like, from all the stuff they've been through. And the word I was looking for earlier was violated. None of your rights were violated. That's
yeah,
normally when people pursue CPS after the fact. And I've heard a lot of cases are won because of it. So, but thank God, like you said, since it didn't go that far, your kids were able to be returned back to you, thank God, and nothing was done to them. You were able to just move on with your life. Which you're saying that, and that's even a blessing because everybody don't have that story.
most definitely is a
It
blessing.
really is a true blessing. And is that also why you said that that's why once your children had returned back home, did you say you had to sit down with them and process some information or talk to them a little bit or
Yeah, because kids they they're scared to say certain things because
right
they might feel like they're going to get in
in
trouble.
trouble? Exactly.
So you have to gain your trust with them and really show them love and affection to
That's
get things out of them. So
to almost build them back up again.
right, most definitely, yeah,
Yeah, that is a great way to word that. Yes, because they've been through it as well. Obviously, they're the ones that's been misplaced in these different homes.
exactly.
A lot of times they don't just go to one home. If you don't have any family or someone that can take them in, they will pass around to multiple to and fro to different families. So they have definitely been through it. So I think that's a strong, wise suggestion. Like you say, once your children prayerfully is returned back home, just give them time to process. Let them know that they're safe.
Yes,
They're back home. They're safe. They don't have to worry about no one, coming to take them away. You're there for them to support them, to love on them, because like you say, kids, they're children.
right,
They don't know how to process all this. My God, we're grown out to process it.
right. So
So
yeah, you
with
have
that being said,
yeah.
yeah. So that is awesome. I thank God that your children was returned back home. I thank God that you had outlived everything that could have went wrong. But I do know what the devil means for evil. God is so faithful.
Yes.
He's so faithful. He will turn it around for the good. And you are definitely a testimony of that. And with that being said, that's going to come to the end of our show. And we've given out so many gems and nuggets to our families and our listeners. Only the very last question I would like to ask you for today, other than what you've already shared, is there anything else that you would like to share with families that maybe just got that CPS call or got that text message or just saying, hey, we received a phone call for whatever reason, we're going to be interviewing you or opening up an investigation for you and your children. It'll take you back to that time. What was it like when you got that phone call or that person told you that, hey, CPS saying they want to come over to the house, or you find out that they're at your child's school or daycare? Is there any other great advice that you would like to share to encourage that parent, that grandparent, that caregiver, whomever it might be that's right now currently dealing with CPS?
Well, the best advice that I can give you at my age, 22, is to just keep your faith and keep going. Don't let it tear you down. Because you're gonna get through it, and just be modest on certain things that they asked or do, and just do everything that they're telling you to do, and it's gonna end. They can't linger it on forever, even though it may
Well,
take 2 to 3 years. It's gonna come to an end.
that's right. They do have, I think it's just so scary going through it. It almost feel like, is this ever going to end?
Yes,
Right.
so you just have to just keep going. Hopefully, if you do have that case, you have a good caseworker, somebody who's willing to help you, and hopefully you have all that support that you need to
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That definitely helps a lot if you have a caseworker that really wants you to be reunified back with your children again. Our actions or his action shows that it definitely makes a world of difference. So again, I just thank God that you were able to overcome CPS and you were able to get your children back. Not only did you survive, but you're thriving now. Beautiful. I've seen your little boy. The
Yes.
little boy, so handsome, and you tell you love his mom. I know you love your children, and I'm so serious. You are a success story. So thank God that you made it out. Thank God that you're willing to come on to help other families come along and make it out as well. So again, thank you for doing the show today. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you for having me, and I hope that whoever's going through it will most definitely get through it, because you will.
That's right. Tough times don't last always, but tough people do.
Most definitely. God put his strongest soldier through a lot.
Oh, that's right. That's so true. That's so true. Yes. He's not going to put you through no more than he's willing to take you out of.
Most definitely.
So again, that is so awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for that encouragement to let parents know that just like you're sitting here today, you made it out of CPS, that they can be the same way. So I love that. I do. So thank you, Lynetta Bradley, for being on the show today, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Okay, that is going to wrap up our show today. I definitely hope that it encourages you to keep going, to not give up, to keep fighting for your children because they are definitely worth it, that you already know. Lynette is a great example to show you what it's like dealing with two separate CPS cases. And by the grace and mercy of God, since she didn't quit, she didn't give up, she kept doing everything that they asked her to do. And now her children are back home with her. And I am praying that will also be your story as well. So again, thank you for watching our show today, Beautifully Bruised in the CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones, and please enjoy the rest of your day.